Today we'll be looking at a series of artists who make shadow sculptures. The first artist team are Tim Noble and Sue Webster. They're known for their experimental art, including these light and shadow sculptures. The duo forms abstract works from which, upon first glance, look nothing other than straightforward piles of trash. The excitement for the viewer comes when a single light illuminates the pile and creates an entirely new piece of art, usually portraits of themselves, formed with a combination of light and shadow projected onto the walls. So as you walk into the gallery, you see this large pile of trash, seagulls pecking at French fries in the foreground, and then on the wall it reveals a silhouette of two people propped up against each other, smoking and drinking. Here, once again, are portraits of the artists with their heads on stakes. This picture does a really good job of highlighting the objects used in this silhouette. So a bunch of plastic, colorful objects, creating this kind of dark image of two people's heads on a stake. Here in the foreground, we see piles and piles of trash with a silhouette to reveal a man laying in a lady's lap. And this can be interpreted in a number of different ways, from this is the amount of trash that people create, or people are just laying and living in trash, to also thinking about displacement. Shigeru Fukuda is a Japanese artist. He himself was born into a family involved in manufacturing of toys, which may have somehow contributed to underlying interest in 3D objects. In speaking about his own work, he once said that he finds purpose in life from the mundane, ordinary things that upon second look make you stop, stare, and then slap your knee. For this piece, he obtained the rigging plans and assembled a shadow sculpture from 2,084 pairs of metal scissors. Here, the light source is coming from above. So as we're looking at these slides, I want you to think about where the artist has placed the light source. Lunch with a Helmet On. This was his first shadow sculpture, made in 1987, from forks, spoons, and knives all welded together. He has created a nice silhouette inside of a framed out oval light source, using objects that you would find at a bar, from a beer stein to a brandy glass, stirring sticks. The next artist team are Maysoon and Bassam. These artists are both teachers from refugee camps in Palestine, and they found that there were terribly few material resources for creating art projects. So innovation and creativity were vital through this experience and sharpened their skills. This image, the light source is coming from below. We see this finely carved wooden piece, and it's actually what is jetting out, the relief part of it, what is jetting out from the wall that creates this shadow. They strongly believe that visual art is a way which each person is able to express themselves in a particularly beautiful way, and that each human being has the right to practice art in spite of the level of talent. This piece is called The Dance. Once again, the light source is coming from below. And this last piece is O Lord Ya Rab. Here we can see the hands rising from the wall. Rashad Alabarov is an Azerbaijani artist making mixed media installations. This piece, Crisis Haha, is completely made up of plumbing hardware. And then that light source is coming from behind, creating a softer light on the piece. He also uses colored pieces of glass and plexiglass. These are suspended from the ceiling with fishing line, and the light source is coming from kind of a diagonal above, revealing a colorful landscape of the port. Plastic portrait is a installation piece. Installation meaning it is using the whole space, using installing artwork into a space. Here we have water bottles that are suspended using fishing line, and the shadow creates a portrait. Looking at two cities from one point of view, this piece uses discarded and old objects from a candle and a candle holder, light bulbs, a bolt and nut to create the landscape of a city, two cities. John V. Moutin has an interesting background in that he makes these magic angle sculptures, is how he refers to them. And he was inspired to create the magic angle sculptures through his work with magic angle sample spinning, which is a scientific technique that mechanically simulates molecule tumbling through space. The effect is to rapidly interchange the three axes of the Cartesian coordinates x, y, and z. So he is using pretty complex 3D software to create these images. And as you twirl the stick around, it gives you the faces of the object create many different silhouettes. So these two pieces are made of, are projections of Legos. This is the same object in both photographs, but one is tilted so that you see a dragon, the other is tilted so that you see a butterfly. This is another one of his Lego pieces. So think about what you can make your objects out of. Garbage, objects, Legos, food. Diet Wigman is a Dutch artist. When asked about his work in the 1970s, Wigman simply said, "I did not invent the phenomenon shadow, I just make holes in the light." This image depicts two very stereotypical silhouettes of Dutch painters from the Dutch golden age of painting. And the image is made up of a painting palette, discarded oil paint tubes, paintbrushes, a water jug. Talking about his heritage and the history of art. This is the guts of a chair, a disassembled chair that once projected on creates a silhouette of a complete chair. Talking about the dualities of what is inside as well as the complete form. In this photograph, you can see the light source that's used. This is a simple, small spotlight. And the light source is kind of coming from below at a diagonal. As you are setting up your light source, you'll want to move it around a lot to try and create many different angles. Once again, we're looking at the light source. It looks like a small book light that you would clip onto your book, illuminating a bunch of coins glued together to create an atlas silhouette. I hope this slideshow has given you some ideas about materials as well as light sources that you can create your shadow sculpture out of.